On December 25, 2011, police received a call from a person who was breathing heavily. The call was cut short and police tried to call severally but no one answered. This call was coming from an apartment in Grapevine, Texas where some members of Azizolah Yazdanpanah family lived. The Yazdanpanah family had come to the United States from Iran decades earlier looking for greener pastures just like everybody else. They settled into Texas life, working, raising their children, and building a community of relatives and friends who supported each other through good times and difficult ones. In the early 2000s, Azizolah Yazdanpanah and his wife Fatma Ramadi, often called Faye, began experiencing increasing marital strain. Their marriage was troubled, marked by disagreements just like many marriages. Sometimes things are good, other times. That eventually led to their separation. By 2011, the couple were living apart and heading towards divorce. Yet even through separation, they shared 2 children. Nona, age 19, an outgoing college student, and Ali, age 15, a high schooler described as polite and well-liked. Azizolah Yazdanpanah had spent the previous years struggling to maintain work and stability. At times, he worked as a real estate agent, other times in small business ventures, but his finances fluctuated. Friends described him as a man who deeply valued family but also as someone who felt a great need for control. Aziz moved into a small apartment by himself and in the late 2011, divorce proceedings were underway. On December 25, 2011, members of the Ramadi and Yazdanpanah families gathered at the apartment of Nasreen Ramadi, Faye's sister. They exchanged gifts, shared food, and prepared to celebrate the holiday quietly. Sometime that morning, Aziz arrived at the apartment. He was dressed in a Santa Claus outfit and the family allowed him inside. Despite the separation, this was still the father of 2 of the children, and Christmas felt like a time for forgiveness and unity. At 11:34 a.m., a 911 call was received. It lasted only seconds, no words, just background noise. Police arrived at the apartment building soon after. The door was locked. Inside, they discovered an unspeakably tragic scene, all 7 family members deceased, some positioned near open Christmas gifts. Text messages sent by a victim shortly before the shooting indicated Aziz's presence, but there was no immediate sense of danger. Investigators quickly determined there was no sign of an intruder. The killer was using weapons found inside the apartment. Azizolah Yazdanpanah was among the dead. Given the evidence, detectives concluded that Aziz had murdered his family members and then taken his own life. He used 2 handguns to carry out the killings. Police say it appears Aziz was the one who made the 911 call, based on the location of the phone. It's very weird for him to have made the call, maybe he didn't want to rot before being found. The victims included Fatima Nasreen Ramadi, 55, his estranged wife. Nona Yazdanpanah, 19, his daughter. Ali Yazdanpanah, 14, his son. Zareh Rahmathi, 58, his wife's sister. Mohammed Hossein Zariai, 59, his brother-in-law. Sarah Fatma Zariai, 22, his niece. Trouble before the tragedy. Friends and relatives noted changes in Azizolah Yazdanpanah. Once a devoted father and husband, he had become increasingly consumed by the separation. Financial strain, emotional instability, and the fear of losing his family had begun to take their toll. Aziz believed he was losing control over his marriage, over his children, over the life he believed he should have continued to lead. Those closest to him later reported. He feared his wife would take the children away. He struggled to accept her independence. He felt rejected by extended family. And he had begun engaging in strange, erratic behaviors. None of these warning signs pointed clearly to the tragic explosion of violence to come, but they formed a pattern, a painful unraveling. A clear motive is never fully knowable. But investigators and psychologists later identified likely factors: impending divorce and loss of control, financial stress, emotional instability, despair during the holidays, a desire to punish his wife and children, a final act of control disguised as a family gathering. This was a familicide, a rare but devastating form of mass murder typically driven by a mix of emotional collapse, perceived failure, and extreme possessiveness. Azizolah Yazdanpanah never stood trial. There was no courtroom, no sentencing, no legal judgment. His suicide ended any possibility of judicial accountability. But the community of Grapevine and the surviving extended family carried forward the judgment that mattered most. This was an act of profound betrayal, a violation of trust, family, and humanity. The city held memorials. Schools supported grieving students who had lost classmates. Neighbors and community members contributed to funeral expenses and support funds. The name, Grapevine Massacre, though grim, became the shorthand for a tragedy that still lingers in memory.
20 years ago, in the heart of Fresno, California, one of the most unthinkable mass murders in the city's history took place. On March 12, 2004, police responded to a home in central Fresno where they discovered 9 victims, all shot in the eye, in what would become one of the darkest chapters in the city's criminal history. The perpetrator, Marcus Wesson, orchestrated this horrific crime against his own family members, revealing a disturbing pattern of control and manipulation that had been hidden behind closed doors for years. Marcus Delon Wesson, born August 22, 1946, is an American mass murderer and child rapist, convicted of 9 counts of first-degree murder and 14 sex crimes, including the rape and molestation of his underage daughters. His victims were his children, fathered through sexual abuse of his daughters and nieces, as well as his wife's children. Marcus Wesson was born in Kansas, the eldest of 4 children of Benjamin and Carrie Wesson. His mother raised him in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Wesson claimed that his mother was a religious fanatic. His father was an alcoholic child abuser who abandoned his family when Wesson was a child. By the early 1960s, the family had moved to San Bernardino, California. After dropping out of high school, Wesson joined the U.S. Army, serving from 1966 to 1968 as an ambulance driver, which included a deployment in the Vietnam War. Shortly after leaving the military, Wesson moved in with an older woman, Rosemary Solorio, and her 8 children in San Jose, California. In 1971, Solorio gave birth to Wesson's son. In 1974, Wesson began sexually abusing Solorio's 8-year-old daughter, Elizabeth. Wesson married Elizabeth when she turned 14, and he was 34. 4 months later, she gave birth to her first child. Eventually, the couple had 10 children together, including 1 infant who died. One of Elizabeth's younger sisters left her own 7 children with them, claiming that her drug problem made her unable to care for them. Wesson never held a steady job. He lived off welfare and forced his working adult children to give him all their earnings. In 1989, Wesson was convicted of welfare fraud and perjury. The family often lived in rundown shacks, boats, and vacant houses. Wesson was abusive towards his wife and children. He prevented Elizabeth from participating in the children's upbringing. He homeschooled the children and taught them from his own handwritten Bible that focused on Jesus Christ being a vampire. He told the children that he was God and had them refer to him as Master or Lord. He taught the children to be prepared for Armageddon and said that the girls were destined to become Wesson's future wives. Their domestic responsibilities included washing Wesson's dreads and scratching his head. The girls were not allowed to talk to their male siblings or their mother. Both male and female children were physically abused. Wesson raped 2 daughters and 3 nieces beginning at age 8. All 5 girls became pregnant. Before March 12, 2004, Wesson had declared his intention to relocate his daughters and their children to Washington State, where Wesson's parents lived. On March 12, 2004, several members of Wesson's extended family, along with two nieces who rebelled against him, converged on his family compound, demanding the release of their children. Fresno police were summoned to what was described as a child custody issue, and a standoff ensued. Wesson told the police to wait at the door and disappeared into the home. When he came back to the door, his clothes were bloodied. Witnesses at the standoff testified they did hear gunshots fired at that time. In the aftermath, police discovered 9 bodies, including 2 of Wesson's daughters and a total of 7 of their children, in a bedroom filled with antique coffins. Each victim had been fatally shot through the eye. Wesson's other children, who were not present inside the house, survived the incident. Victims were Sabrina April Wesson, age 25, daughter Elizabeth Brahe, Kina Wesson, age 17, daughter Illabel Carey Wesson, age 8, granddaughter Aviv Dominique Wesson, age 7, daughter grandniece Jonathan, St. Charles Wesson, age 7, son grandnephew Ethan St. Laurent Wesson, age 4, son grandnephew Marshy St. Christopher Wesson, age 1, son grandson Java St. Vladislas Wesson, age 1, daughter granddaughter Sedona Vadra Wesson, age 1, daughter grandniece. At Wesson's trial, Wesson was represented by 2 public defenders. They presented the defense that his 25-year-old daughter Sabrina committed all the murders, including of her son Marshy, and then committed suicide. The murder weapon, a .22 caliber handgun, was found with her body, and Sabrina's DNA was found on the gun, which lent credence to Wesson's claim. There was also no gunpowder residue on Wesson's hands at the time of his arrest. The jury declined to find that Wesson fired the fatal shots but convicted him of murder anyway, presumably finding that he had pressured his children into entering a suicide pact. Conviction and sentence. Wesson was convicted of 9 counts of first-degree murder on June 17, 2005, and also found guilty on 14 counts of forcible rape and the sexual molestation of 7 of his daughters and nieces. Wesson was sentenced to death on June 27, 2005, and is currently in San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. The house that the murders took place in was later demolished, but the shadows of that fateful day still linger in Fresno. To this day, the tragic events involving Marcus Wesson serve as a reminder of the profound impacts of abuse and manipulation. If you found this story compelling, please subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories. Thank you for tuning in. Drew Walter Peterson, born January 5, 1954, is an American convicted murderer in former Bolingbrook, Illinois, police sergeant who was found guilty in 2012 of the murder of his 3rd wife, Kathleen Savio, a few months after their 2003 divorce. Peterson first received national publicity in 2007 when his 4th wife, Stacey Ann Cales Peterson, disappeared. Although the police and Stacey Ann's family suspect foul play, she has never been found. Drew Peterson was born in Bolingbrook, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, on January 5, 1954. He graduated in 1972 from Willowbrook High School in Villa Park, Illinois, where he ran cross-country. He joined the United States Army after graduation and briefly attended the College of DuPage in 1974, before moving to Falls Church, Virginia, to train as a military police officer. Peterson began his 30-year career with the local Bolingbrook police force in 1977. In 1978, he was assigned to the Metropolitan Area Narcotics Squad, and in 1979 he received a Police Officer of the Year award from the department. Peterson met Carol Brown in high school, and they attended his senior prom together. They married in 1974, but divorced 6 years later after Brown learned about Peterson's infidelity. Together they had sons Stephen Paul Peterson, 1980, and Eric Drew Peterson. Peterson married his 2nd wife, Victoria Vicky Connolly, in 1982. They operated a bar together in Romoville. Connolly alleged a history of domestic violence during her 10-year marriage to Peterson, as did her daughter, who lived in the household until she turned 17. In the wake of Stacey Ann's disappearance, Connolly told police that during their marriage, Peterson threatened to kill her and make it look like an accident. She divorced Peterson after he started dating Kathleen Savio. Their divorce was finalized on February 18, 1992. Peterson married Kathleen Savio, born June 13, 1963, in Glendale Heights, Illinois. An accountant on May 3, 1992, just a few months after his divorce from Connolly. Together they had two sons, Thomas, January 5, 1993, and Christopher, August 8, 1994. During their marriage, the couple lived at 392 Pheasant Chase Drive in Bolingbrook. Their divorce was finalized on October 10, 2003. It was reported that between 2002 and 2004, police were called out to the Peterson house 18 times on domestic disturbance calls, including calls for returning children late after visitation. On March 1, 2004, Savio's nude body was found in a dry bathtub in the master suite of the Pheasant Chase Drive residence. Less than a month later, Peterson put the house up for sale. He did not mention Savio's death to the new owners, claiming he was only selling the house due to the fact that his children enjoyed swimming in the pool at his secondary residence down the street. Savio's death was initially ruled an accidental drowning by a coroner's jury that included a police officer who personally knew Peterson and assured the other jurors that he was a good man who would never hurt his wife. However, following Stacy Peterson's later disappearance, Savio's body was exhumed and underwent forensic examination on November 16, 2007. Michael Baden, a former New York City medical examiner who conducted the examination at the request of Savio's relatives and Fox News, concluded that she died of drowning following a struggle when her body was placed in the bathtub. Post-mortem photos showed extensive bruising and scraping to her back, torso, and face, as well as a large, unexplained gash in her scalp. The results of the official autopsy ordered by the county have not been released to the public. Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow told the press that, after examining evidence in the case, he believed that the death was a homicide staged to look like an accident. On February 21, 2008, Glasgow announced that a pathologist had determined that Savio's death was a homicide, adding that the death had been investigated as such since reopening the case following the exhumation. Reverend Neil Shorey, a pastor at Stacy Peterson's church, reported that Stacy had told him that Drew had killed Savio and had made it look like an accident, and that she was afraid of her husband. Stacy had provided Drew's alibi for his whereabouts on the evening of Savio's death. Peterson's trial, proceeding in July 2012, was jeopardized when prosecutors attempted to introduce evidence that was not allowed. The Chicago Tribune reported that the judge would rule on a mistrial on August 2, 2012. On August 15, Peterson told a judge that he wanted to withdraw a request for a mistrial. His lawyers said that he wanted the current jury to decide if he killed his third wife. On September 6, Peterson was convicted of killing Savio. On February 21, 2013, he was denied a mistrial and sentenced to 38 years in prison. At age 49, before Peterson was arrested, he married 19-year-old hotel receptionist Stacy Ann Kales, born January 20, 1984, in Downers Grove, Illinois, on October 18, 2003, and she subsequently changed her last name to Peterson. Stacy's mother, Christy, had previously been reported missing in 1998, although the two cases are not believed to be linked. Described as a troubled teenager, Kales began dating Peterson at age 17 with her father's permission, while Peterson was still married to Kathleen Savio. The couple lived at 6 Pheasant Chase Court in Bolingbrook, Illinois, less than a mile from the home he formerly shared with Savio. Together they had 2 children, Anthony, born 2003, and Lacey, born 2005. Stacy legally adopted Savio's children and treated them like they were her own. She was close to completing her nursing degree from Joliet Junior College at the time of her disappearance on Sunday, October 28, 2007. Stacy was officially reported missing in the early hours of Monday, October 29th, after her sister Cassandra Kales failed to hear from her when expected. Peterson claims that Stacy called him at 9 p.m. on Sunday to tell him that she had left him for another man and that she had left her 2002 Pontiac Grand Am at Bolingbrook's Clough International Airport. Stacy is still considered a missing person. In October 2021, Peterson filed a handwritten petition for post-conviction relief with the Will County Circuit Clerk. The petition alleges, amongst other claims, that State's Attorney James Glasgow had intimidated witnesses during Peterson's 2012 murder trial. The petition also revealed Peterson's current location of incarceration, the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City, Indiana, where he is known as Inmate Number 2, 79193. On February 9, 2015, Peterson was charged with attempting to put a hit on James Glasgow, the Chicago area lead prosecutor in his murder trial, after a fellow inmate tipped off prosecutors to the plan and wore a wire to capture evidence against Peterson. In May 2016, he was found guilty of solicitation of murder and solicitation of murder for hire. He was subsequently sentenced to an additional 40 years in prison. Peterson had retired in November 2007 at age 53, with the rank of sergeant, and was given a tax-free $79,000 a year pension, almost $6,600 a month. His pension was terminated following his second conviction in May 2016. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. On the morning of August 26, 2015, news reporter Allison Parker and photojournalist Adam Ward, both working for CBS affiliate WDBJ in Roanoke, Virginia, were tragically shot and killed during a live television interview near Smith Mountain Lake in Moneta. They were speaking with Vicki Gardner, the executive director of the local Chamber of Commerce, when a gunman opened fire. Parker, 24, and Ward, 27, were pronounced dead at the scene, while Gardner sustained injuries but survived the attack. During a live broadcast for WDBJ's morning news program, Mornin', reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward were interviewing Vicki Gardner at Bridgewater Plaza in Moneta about upcoming events celebrating the 50th anniversary of Smith Mountain Lake, located 26 miles southeast of Roanoke. At 6:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, in the middle of the segment, gunfire erupted. At least 8 shots rang out, accompanied by screams. Ward's camera dropped to the ground, briefly capturing the shooter, later identified as Vester Lee Flanagan II, holding a Glock 19 9mm pistol. The broadcast abruptly returned to the studio, where anchor Kimberly McBroom appeared visibly confused. She later said she initially thought the loud noises might have been a car backfiring or possibly gunshots in the background. Parker and Ward were pronounced dead at the scene, while Gardner, who was also shot, survived after undergoing surgery at Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital. According to the state medical examiner, Parker suffered fatal gunshot wounds to the head and chest, and Ward was shot in the head and torso. Gardner was shot in the back while attempting to play dead by curling into a fetal position. In total, 15 shots were fired. WDBJ newsroom staff reviewed footage from Ward's fallen camera and recognized Flanagan as the suspected shooter. They informed General Manager Jeffrey Marks, who then contacted the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. At 8:23 a.m., Flanagan sent a fax to ABC News and later called them around 10 a.m. to confess. Authorities began tracking him using his cell phone signal. Flanagan left his Ford Mustang at the Roanoke-Blacksburg Regional Airport and fled in a rented Chevrolet Sonic. He traveled north on I-81 and then east on I-66. At 11:20 a.m., a Virginia State Trooper's automated license plate reader flagged the vehicle. The trooper called for backup and attempted a traffic stop, but Flanagan fled. After a short chase of less than 2 miles, his car veered off the road and hit an embankment near Markham. Inside the car, police found Flanagan with what appeared to be self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the head. He was airlifted to Innova Fairfax Hospital in Falls Church, where he was pronounced dead at 1:26 p.m. Motive behind the murder, Flanagan repeated his claims of racial discrimination by WDBJ on both profiles, specifically naming Parker and Ward. He claimed that Parker had made a coded racist remark during her internship at WDBJ regarding a friend of Flanagan's, and that Ward had filed a complaint against him to the station's Human Resources Department after working with him on one occasion. At 11:14 a.m. on the day of the shooting, Flanagan uploaded a 56-second telephone camera video to his Twitter and Facebook accounts before they were suspended, shot from a first-person perspective of the incident. The video shows Flanagan walking up to the scene of the interview and brandishing a handgun for approximately 15 seconds without Ward, Parker, or Gardner noticing. Gardner later said that she had been blinded by the television lighting. Flanagan mutters the B word while pointing the weapon at Parker and lowers the gun before raising it again and opening fire directly at her. Parker flinches and screams before attempting to escape the attack, and the light of Ward's camera is seen quickly dropping before Flanagan pulls away the camera and shuts it off. ABC News received a 23-page fax at 8:26 a.m., allegedly sent by Flanagan titled, "Suicide Note for Friend and Family." In the document, Flanagan described his grievances over what he alleged to be racial discrimination and sexual harassment committed by black men and white women in his workplace, believing that he was targeted because he was a homosexual black man. He claimed to have been provoked by the Charleston church shooting 2 months before and made threatening comments about Dylan Roof, the perpetrator of that crime. Flanagan described the church shooting as a tipping point, saying that his anger had been building steadily and describing himself as a human powder keg, just waiting to go boom. A spokesman for the Franklin County Sheriff's Office said that Flanagan very closely identified with individuals who have committed domestic acts of violence and mass murder, as well as the September 11, 2001 attacks on the U.S. Flanagan said that Jehovah had told him to act and expressed an admiration for Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, who perpetrated the 1999 Columbine High School massacre, and Seung-Hui Cho, the perpetrator of the 2007 Virginia Tech shooting. Flanagan said in the note, "Yeah, I'm all fwice up in the head." After Flanagan's death, officers searched his rental car. They found various items, including a Glock pistol with several magazines and ammunition, a cell phone, letters, notes, a to-do list, a suitcase containing 3 license plates, and several disguises, including a wig. Parker's father, Andy Parker, said that he would become an advocate on the issue of gun violence prevention, comparing it to John Walsh's advocacy of crime prevention. He said that he would speak with politicians and news outlets to address mental health issues and improve care for those with mental illnesses. He had run as a Democratic candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates in 2007. However, he was not elected, and he urged politicians to strengthen laws against gun violence. The shooting led Allison Parker's boyfriend, Chris Hurst, to successfully run for a seat in the House of Delegates with a priority to pass gun control legislation. In the end, justice may have been served, but the scars left behind are permanent. For the victims, their families, and even those of us watching from the outside, this case is a haunting reminder. Evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it lives next door. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as chilling as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the darkest corners of human nature. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep asking questions.
Did you know that 53 years ago, a man named D.B. Cooper, also known as Dan Cooper, hijacked Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, a Boeing 727 aircraft, in United States airspace on November 24, 1971. The story of Dan Cooper is one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in American history. Here's a summary of the incident. 1. Cooper boarded the plane, a Boeing 727, and handed a note to a flight attendant stating that he had a bomb. He showed her a briefcase with wires and red sticks, which appeared to be an explosive device. He demanded $200,000 in cash, for parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by for his escape in Seattle. 2. Ransom and release of passengers. The airline and authorities agreed to his demands, and Cooper released the 36 passengers in Seattle after the plane landed. He kept the crew of 6 on board, as well as the ransom money and parachutes. 3. Escape. After receiving the money and parachutes, Cooper ordered the plane to take off again, heading southeast. Somewhere over the rugged terrain of the Cascade Mountains, Cooper opened a rear stairway door and parachuted out of the plane with the ransom money. 4. Investigation. Despite a massive manhunt and an extensive investigation, Cooper was never found. The FBI conducted an extensive search but couldn't uncover any solid leads, and the case remains unsolved. In 1980, a young boy found a package containing $5,800 of the ransom money, which was still in excellent condition and had been buried near the Columbia River. But Cooper's identity and whereabouts remain a mystery. Over the years, Many theories have emerged about Cooper's true identity and what happened to him, but none have been proven. Some believe he died in the jump, while others think he may have survived and lived under a different name. The case has captured the imagination of people for decades, making it a legendary part of American criminal history.
Sort of action out
On
there.
his cameras,
I would have got it.
like
Right.
we had issues the other week when people were stealing stuff out of like garages and stuff like that, and I had parked my truck
I
up
had
here.
to park right here.
Yeah, so someone
See if
I could
anything
see where someone
happened.
tried to jimmy with a flathead screwdriver over there, and it was just like
But if any action would have happened, any cars or anything left your house, I would
if
have
it would
got it.
have been like right in that area, it should have picked. I mean,
Oh, it'll pick up anything coming down the street this way.
you know where that tree there too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Watch, I'll show you. There's nothing on here. We've already watched that one. But like, you'll see this car.
What security system do you have?
Extended. Oh, you can see this car starting to drive down the street.
That one.
Oh, look. Okay.
See what I'm saying? It picks up all the way down there.
That's cool.
He's next door.
There we go.
I was talking about dispatcher. It'll be code 4.
Cause yeah, we can pick up cars coming this way. I get anything coming this way and making a turn. So, and usually at night I pick up the cars pulling a U-turn. So, unless they pulled right here,
Yeah.
but I would have caught her walking out. Diesel.
Here's good.
But yeah, I thought nothing.
Nothing for the rest of the day.
No, that's it.
She's pregnant as well.
How far along?
14, 15 weeks. That's why her friend said it was low blood sugar.
Let's see.
I just shot and killed the kids, and I shot my wife.
What address
I'm going
you
to
at?
shoot myself now.
Sir, what address you at?
What?
What address you at?
450 South First Street, St. Charles. I'm going to kill myself now, too.
Sir,
My
sir,
two
sir,
girls
sir,
are dead, and I'm
sir.
killing myself.
Sir. So 450 South First Street in St. Charles? Sir, stay on the line with me.
Okay, man.
Sir. Hello? I just hear a sound back. Sir. Sir. Yeah.
I don't know.
Please, come here, now!
Where do you need help at?
St. Charles!
Where in St. Charles?
Oh my God, my husband shot my kids!
Okay, I need to know where you are. I can help you, but I need help. Where are
I
you?
don't know. Not 406. Please help me.
Okay, ma'am, what address are you at?
Open the door. Call 911.
Ma'am, what address are you at?
Oh my God!
Ma'am, where are you at? Ma'am, I can help you, but I need to know where you are. Ma'am, I can help you, but I need to know where you're at.
Please call 911. Please, I can't remember my address.
Okay, could it be 450 South First Street?
450 South First Street. Yes.
Okay, what
Call
apartment?
ambulance. Call ambulance.
Okay, we're getting them headed that way. What apartment are you in?
406. My girls are dead.
406? Okay, stay on the phone. I'm going to get an ambulance headed that way. Yep, we're going to be on our way. Don't hang up, okay?
Oh my God! My God!
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to talk to the medics. Don't hang up, okay?
I'm gonna die. My God! I'm gonna. Oh my God! Please! My
got medics on their way. Can you confirm the phone number you're calling me from?
What the hell? My God, what the hell?
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I got medics on their way, okay? Where's the bad guy at?
He's in the back room, and I don't know what he's done.
He's in the back room?
He's in my God, just get over here now.
Okay, they're on their way. Okay. I got medics on their way. I got officers on their way. The offender's in the back room. Ma'am, do you know where the gun is?
I don't know if he has it. Please just get over here. I don't want to answer you any more questions. He shot me.
Okay, ma'am, where are you shot at?
I don't know my leg. My God, he killed me.
Okay, and again, that's...
My girl, my God, he killed my girl.
Okay, ma'am, and you're in apartment 406, correct?
Yes!
All right, we got officers coming up now. I need to know where he is. Are you safe where you are?
I don't. Please, wait for a second. My